This conference will now be recorded.
Before we start, I'm going to go very quickly into the basics, the rules of the webinar, as usual. I really suggest to everyone that you join this webinar through a device such as a computer and stable Wi-Fi, so you can have the best experience out of it. You are all muted. I saw Elizabeth writing in the chat. You are all muted, but if you need to speak, or you can just unmute yourself, I think, and you can also write in the chat for any questions you might have. The session will be recorded and shared also with all participants, so it would be good to go over it later. While I will be explaining some of the concepts that we will go through today, I will not look at the chat in real time every time. So I'll have Elizabeth from Pearson just monitor the chat a little bit. Any questions you might have, any doubt that comes during the webinar, please make sure to write your question. In the end, we will go through all of it and have an interesting discussion around what we discussed. This is an active workshop. If you feel that you have a question, or if you feel that you need to kind of jump in the discussion and say your opinion or input regarding the concepts we're going to discuss, please feel free to do so. You are highly encouraged to do so. And as I always say in all of my trainings and webinars, there is no wrong answers, there is no wrong opinions. There's always only knowledge upgrade. So any question, anything you can ask, it's very highly valued. By the end of this webinar, you'll have an extra activity that you can do on your own. I just thought of including a Kahoot activity. I don't know if you have used it before, but you just download an app, and there will be an interesting quiz, a challenge for everyone attending. So I will give you a pen, and in the end, you can just test yourself on what you learned here today. So before we delve into all of the interesting topics, let me introduce myself so you know who you are watching through the camera and who is going to present the topics in this webinar. I am the lead technical trainer for all emerging technologies at Pearson Professional. So I handle the delivery of all the trainings and facilitations of digital transformation courses, artificial intelligence, blockchain and fintech, data analytics, and all the emerging tech courses. My background, I come from working 7 years with a conglomerate, a very big corporate called Teleperformance. The last two clients that I worked for are very interesting ones in Europe, Sky and Apple. And I'm obviously very, very passionate about innovation and technology, so this is why I do what I do. I just finished my Master of Science with the University of Nicosia, precisely in blockchain applications and digital currencies, and undergoing another MicroMasters in Project Management of Innovation and Technological Projects. I'm also a certified blockchain solution architect. So you can see that I'm really, really passionate about blockchain. And I have mentored a couple of startups for accelerators here in Dubai, one of them being Startup Bootcamp, mentoring startups for Step Conference, one of the biggest conferences in the Middle East. And of course, you can find some of the papers I've published along with other researchers in ResearchGate. So I have a little bit of a work published there. And I'm really glad to be able to deliver this webinar to you because I personally believe that fintech is one of those topics that everyone should be aware of. It's one of those things that no one can escape it. So we will see through the slides and all the discussions that it's very important that everyone, wherever they are and whatever they do, must know about fintech. What is fintech? How do we interact with fintech? And how is the future going to look like, right? So what we're going to do during this webinar is we're going to go through a couple of concepts. First of all, we're going to go through this buzzword called fintech. So you have heard a lot about fintech, but what is fintech really? Is it a product? Is it a business model? What does it represent per se? We're going to go through a little bit of history, seeing how finance and technology have been always connected with each other. We're going to see the wonders of fintech. So what are the areas and subsections that fintech covers as such? We're going to see the technology behind fintech, so how fintech is powered by technology itself, be it blockchain, be it artificial intelligence, data analytics, and many other technologies that we will see. We'll see a little bit to have an interesting discussion about COVID-19 impact on fintech. So it's a tough situation everywhere, and everyone is trying to make themselves and their families safe in this tough period. So COVID-19, of course, has impacted the way we are living, the way we are paying for things, and we'll just see a little bit how it has impacted the business perspective of it. And in the end, we're going to go through why do we need to know about fintech. As I said, my personal opinion, I think everyone should have knowledge about fintech, but precisely why and what are some of the reasons why you should delve into fintech as a concept. So before we go on, just checking, everyone can hear me? Okay, great. Okay, great. So everyone can hear me. So just a question to everyone on the chat, or if you want to speak. Has any of you ever encountered an operation involving fintech? Do you think you and fintech have somehow clashed in the past or in the present, or have you ever made any operation that you thought, oh, okay, this is financial technology, this is how it happens? You can write in the chat. I would love to see what's your interaction and what do you think about fintech overall. Okay. Okay, great. You're right, Viren, to say kind of not sure, because everyone thinks that this buzzword is somehow something extraordinary, and not everyone realizes it when they actually perform a fintech transaction, right? So we're going to see now, what does fintech stand for? And is it a product, service, or is it a business model? So what does it really stand for? Rowena says it is an important tool for development with financial inclusion. Amazing, thank you, Rowena. We will talk about that. Financial inclusion is a topic that I highly appreciate, because there are plenty of people who are not financially included, and fintech is actually helping with that topic. Is a very it's a very good topic to start with. Very good. So if we see the acronym of fintech as such, what does it stand for, right? It's fairly simple. It stands for financial technology, meaning that everything that regards finance and technology all together to offer products, services, or maybe new business models. This is under the umbrella of fintech. If we think of classifying what does fintech actually stand for, what does it actually represent, it's actually all three of this. It's a product. If you think of cryptocurrencies, if you have ever heard of Bitcoin as such, that's a product of fintech. For example, if you think of remittances made through digital apps, for example, that's a service, that's a way of sending money through technology. Or if you think of business models, I would mention one of the most important ones, and that's crowdfunding. Crowdfunding in the last couple of years has been very distributed amongst new business models, and startups use it a lot. So we'll talk a little bit about crowdfunding when we come to the umbrella of the products that fintech covers. But in the end, we must say that fintech actually involves all three of them. So products, services, and business models. And if you're actually wondering yourself, okay, did I ever interact with fintech? What is my connection with fintech? It's fairly easy. It's fairly easy, because if you have ever went to a shop, be it in Dubai or somewhere else, and you have paid for a purchase via Apple Pay, via mobile app, or Alipay, well, congratulations, you have interacted with the fintech world. That's fintech, right? And going furthermore, if you have ever transferred money online, like through, for example, the app of Western Union or Al Ansari Exchange, or I'm just mentioning some of the biggest remittance senders in Dubai. If you have ever done that yourself from a mobile application, well, congratulations again. You have interacted with the fintech world, right? You have made a transaction that it's included in what fintech all stands about. And if you have ever purchased insurance online, for example, going to a website and purchasing insurance, or even going online and applying for a loan or a credit card without going into the branch itself, that's also fintech. But previously, in order to kind of go and apply for a credit card or to apply for a loan or to apply for any kind of financial service, we would have to go with our papers, passports, ID, country issued ID, and all the other papers and documents, salary certificates. We would have to go into a branch. We would have to give all of these papers in order for us to get that financial service that we are looking for, be it whatever the bank is offering. Today, things have changed, and they have changed considerably. Today, everything can be done online. Today, everything is digitalized. So whatever I'm mentioning right now, keep it in mind, because this is precisely what we're going to talk in the upcoming slides. This is precisely what the fintech umbrella actually represents. So before we go into all of the subsections, can you all see the slides?
No, we cannot see.
Okay, let me just stop the screen sharing and start it again. Okay, great. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Amazing. So as I was saying, all of this, what we spoke about, the interaction with the fintech world, and how do we actually have actually interacted in the past. This is how it happens. We think that everything that we do in our daily lives is powered by technology. So finance is no exception at all. Now, before we delve into the umbrella of what fintech covers, and we see some couple of examples from each, I want to go a little bit back into history and bring to your attention the evolution of money. The evolution of money, it's a very interesting topic overall. There are plenty of reports and researches made online into studying how we got where we are today. And if we actually look at how money evolved over time, we would actually understand that finance and technology have never been apart, only that we rephrase technology as we see it today differently. Today, when we think of technology, we think artificial intelligence, and we think blockchain, and we think cryptocurrencies. We even think like the internet access and telecommunications, ICT technology. But if we look back in the early times, apart from the barter trade where you had to kind of exchange things with things, since the gold, silver, and metal coins era began, if you think of metallurgy, they had to invent a way to do these coins, right? For them, at that particular time, that was technology. So technology has always powered finance since the making of the coins, trying to find a way into making the coins the precise same size, same shape, same everything. And then when it comes to paper money around 1000 years after AD, when you think about how governments print money, these are not just common printers that you buy at the supermarket, right? This is another type of technology that was powering the financial services at that time, right? So they had to find a way to print this kind of paper who was unique, who was not easily counterfeited. They had to find the paper, they had to find the machine who could print it the exact same way, every kind of paper. So that was also a kind of technology, and it was powering the finance of that time. We go also in 1950s, where with the first cards starting getting used with magnetic strips and chip cards, for example. If you think about those little chips that you see on your card, you need a particular technology to do that, right? Even the first magnetic stripes that were made in factories, etc. So what I'm trying to say is that financial technology is not actually a new thing if you think of it. Fintech has always been around. Finance and technology have always been connected to each other. But in the last decade, in the couple last years, fintech has kind of begun having a wave of usage as a concept, first of all, and into new technologies being applied to it. And these technologies are not any longer such as the printing paper machine or such as the metallurgy devices that used to make the coins at that time. This is more powerful technology, right? With electricity coming, with internet access, we adapted ourselves to new kinds of technology that are powering the financial world stronger than ever before. And this is why the fintech buzzword kind of came into the picture during the last couple of years, stronger and more powerful than ever. So around 1980s, we start the first applications of mobile money, and we started using applications, smartphones, and finally in 2008, Bitcoin gets introduced. If you have all heard about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, so it's basically virtual money being issued only virtually, and no government or centralized entity controls this kind of money, if we call it money. There are plenty of discussions that call Bitcoin money or a medium of exchange or a store of value, and there are facts backing up each one of them, each one of the claims. But the important thing is that we have, since 2008, a new form of money. So it has evolved from even being physical into something just being virtual. Now, when I look at the future, and I'm hoping you feel the same, I kind of remember of some movies, science fiction movies, where people actually used to pay with their time. So just looking into the future in 15 years, 100 years, you never know where this is going, right? And conclusion about the entire slide is that finance and technology have always been very, very close to each other. There has not been one moment in history where fintech has not actually existed. So we have all the time interacted with it without even knowing that we were actually interacting with it. Now, if we go into the big umbrella of fintech, what does fintech actually cover? What is included into fintech? When I hear about one transaction or one operation, or when I hear about someone doing crowdfunding and things like that, what I would like you to take away from this slide is that whenever you go out there and you hear about something that we will talk during this concept, you kind of think, okay, this is fintech, this is included into fintech. So you have a broader concept, a broader understanding of what fintech actually covers. Now, this slide actually covers it all. And it's really good that we are going to go one by one, each one of them. And we'll start with lending. Can you please put yourself in mute, whomever has the microphone open? Dinesh, I think this is you, please. Thank you. Thanks, because it interferes with the entire webinar. Okay, great. So if we start by the lending, we always have borrowed money, right? What banks exist since a long time. And if you go back to research a little bit how the first banks came into the picture and the history of lending money to people, lending today has become very easy. You today have mobile applications that can lend money without you being able to go to a bank branch, for example. You can apply for credit cards online. You can somehow borrow money in ways that we're not able to do before. and that's in distance, right? So this is one of the subsections, performing strong financial transactions, lending money, for example, which is a very strong feature of what the concept finance covers. It's very important, and today exist entire marketplaces who offer this, even peer-to-peer marketplaces. I could go to these marketplaces and I could say, okay, I need money, and someone else who has the capital to give me money can somehow borrow me the money online, and there's a whole platform marketplace that regulates how these people interact with each other. So they are all protected consumers in the end. Blockchain and crypto is actually a very big subsection of fintech, and we discuss it pretty broadly, let's say, into our Fintech Navigator course. Blockchain and crypto are thought to been in the market since 2008, but there are researches showing that even before, many researchers, David Chaum, etc., they were doing a lot of research on how virtual money would look like. So just to give you a brief understanding for whomever doesn't have the experience, blockchain, think of it as a digital ledger, but a ledger that is not controlled by anyone. So if you think of a company's ledger where you have to mark everything, blockchain is a decentralized, distributed ledger amongst peers like you and me, like everyone who is watching this webinar. Blockchain is the underlying technology of what goes on top as the first application of blockchain. So cryptocurrencies are not actually the only application of blockchain as a technology, but they were the first. So blockchain got introduced into the market with cryptocurrencies. And I mentioned briefly Bitcoin as the first cryptocurrency running on a blockchain, but today there are plenty of them. There are thousands of them already being issued, and we talk a lot about the also the crowdfunding and the connection with cryptocurrencies and blockchain in the course. So the way companies are leveraging the blockchain technologies for financial services is really outstanding, because blockchain somehow removes the middleman in the middle of financial transactions. So peers like you and me can interact with each other without paying fees in the middle. There are different types of blockchain, and this is a very vast topic. So we go through a lot of this concepts in our course. If we pass into the other sector, the RegTech, you can think of regulatory technology as the subsection of fintech covering everything from that involves the regulations and technology. What do I mean by regulations and technology? Companies, they all need to be regulated, right? They need to follow some certain standards. For example, in the AFC, Dubai International Financial Center, you have certain guidelines, you have certain sandboxes where fintech startups can go, you have certain regulations that everyone has to follow, right, to protect the consumers, to protect the investors, for all the reasons why regulations exist, and they help us not create chaos. You can think of regulatory technology as, for example, KYC being made online. For example, if you need to apply for a credit card or you need to take a loan, you need to be KYC'd. KYC stands for Know Your Customer. So it's the process, the simple process of taking your documents and your papers and sending them to the bank. In this case, you are doing this all online. So there are companies and third parties that banks use that can verify your identity online. An online verifiable identity is what we call, for example, one application of RegTech. This could be from everything, from due diligence process, from evaluation of companies, which today are made through auditors and other big companies. But all of this, think of it, made it all online. So it's all made online. We talk in the course about another very interesting topic, which I would love to expand a lot, but it would not, 1 hour would not be enough. We talk about smart contracts, which are also the underlying technology is also blockchain. This, you can think, the simplest way to explain smart contracts would be self-executable contracts. Now, I know that right now you are thinking, okay, but dispute resolution, and there are plenty of other topics that need to be discussed before we can automate everything. But smart contracts have already been used and tested. Let's say there have been pilots to use smart contracts in courts, to use them from regulatory authorities. And after piloting and testing a lot, I'm sure that they will find a way that these contracts will actually fit somewhere, and people can actually sign contracts between themselves, and these contracts will be self-executable. So we don't need a middleman or third party, a court, or someone to intervene in case the contracts, all the information inside the contract is clear, right? But this is not yet being applied on a very large basis. But authorities and governments are taking a very close look into that. Now, if we go to personal finance, tools to manage bills and track your accounts. If I were to mention something in personal finance, it also includes payments and billings. These are the applications, for example, that are offered from Emirates NBD, or applications offered where you can do transactions online, you can handle your own finances, your own accounts, you can get your e-statement online. This is all fintech. I mean, we do it every day if you have a bank account, for example, in the UAE, but we don't actually think that this is covered from fintech, but actually it is. Banks are actually moving slowly a little bit, but they are moving towards covering and being more prompt into having applications of fintech into their into their entire umbrella of products and services. And if you think about personal finance, and another example that comes into my mind, again with Emirates NBD, I like the way they apply things in UAE. Is one of the banks that has somehow gone mostly digital. There's this application powered by Emirates NBD called Live. We studied Live as a case study in our Fintech Navigator course into how it works and how you can transfer money to people through social WhatsApp and social apps, let's say, or from Facebook or other social media. And here we can mention a lot of other, let's say, applications that are somehow a mixture in between a light banking like Monzo or N26, if you have heard of them. Revolut is one of them, and personal finance, because you can all go and kind of review all of your accounts there. Now, if we go to the payments and billing, what we can think about is all regarding how we make payments today. If we think about Apple Pay that I mentioned, or Alipay, or even if we think about apps that kind of handle all of our billings. I don't know if any of you uses in Dubai. We have Dubai Now, which is an application launched from Smart Dubai, and you can handle all of the billings that regard the government, right? Everything that you have to pay with the government is there, and you can aggregate them. It's an application that aggregates all of your billings in order to make things easier for you to pay, to track them, and everything else. So, passing on into insurance, this is also called InsurTech. InsurTech is a very interesting topic indeed, because from all the financial authorities and financial services and all the financial services that you can think of, insurance is one of the most heavy regulated one. So the financial industry as such is very regulated, one of the most regulated industries, but insurance inside the financial industry is one of the most regulated ones, for good reasons, of course. But this is actually one of the reasons why Insurtech has only boomed in the last couple of years and not before, because regulations somehow and regulations and innovation somehow have to go along with each other. So you need to innovate, but you need to innovate by protecting consumers and protecting everyone who is using the product and service. So Insurtech involves that subsection of finance that actually involves everything regarding insurance. It can be life insurance, car insurance, whatever you can think of. And if I might give an example of Insurtech, it would be a site, for example, that aggregates all of the insurances that exist and offers to sell online insurance to you. So you get verified online, you buy your insurance online, everything is done digitally, let's say. Now there's, in UAE, there's Sukamal, there's insurance.ae. These are the two websites that serve as insurance, for example, Insurtech companies. They offer, insurance.ae offers an aggregation of all the insurances, so you can find the best option for you, or you can even customize your options, let's say. And of course, Sukamal offers an aggregation of everything. So it's under Fintech, it's under Insurtech, aggregation of credit cards, comparison of all the services offered in UAE, or insurance comparison. So you can choose the best that best fits your needs as a consumer, let's say, and then proceed digitally to buy this this product. So this is kind of included into the Insurtech section. If we think of capital markets, the other subsection of Fintech, capital markets, it's another very interesting topic. We have case studies in our course regarding the capital markets and how tools can be used for financial institutions. I will just mention one small example into sales and trading. So online trading, for example, there's one company, Toro, who is one of the, let's say, innovators in the capital markets services offered. And what they offer is trading online, all digital trading made online, but they have this particular feature added on top of their services where they make it all about the consumers. They are very keen on onboarding into the trading world, also people who actually don't know how to trade, for example. And they have this feature called social trading, for example, that applies very well into this section, meaning that if I were to explain social trading, it would be a feature of eToro that you can follow what other traders do. So I don't know how to trade, for example, and if someone else is an expert at doing it, I could follow him just like I follow someone on Facebook or Instagram or in social networks. And in the end, I would trade the same trades that he does. So this particular feature made them very famous, and this is all done digitally through data analytics, through let's say, analyzing what's the sentiment of the market, where are the stocks going, where are the cryptocurrencies going, and all the trading concepts that we see in detail involved into the capital markets section of Fintech. If we go forward to the wealth management, wealth management is also very, very interesting, but it mostly uses artificial intelligence, I would say, and data analytics tools. So what happens in wealth management is that many companies, new companies and other older companies in the market, they have digitalized the way people are taking care of their wealth portfolios, of their wealth management, right? So today we have what we call robo-advisors. So there are not any longer people handling your money for you, but there are very well-trained algorithms that we call robo-advisors that can handle your portfolio for you, hedge it, use different trading strategies, and kind of make you win money in that case. So this is not a 100% secure, let's say, practice, but who is? Even humans make mistakes, and the market is not that much predictable. So This is one example of what the wealth management section of FinTech would cover, would be robo-advisors and using data analytics tools to kind of identify where is the best place to invest, what assets or alternative assets are better to invest right now in the market, so where is the market going, etc. Building up a portfolio of wealth, let's say. Money transfer and remittances. Remittances occupies a very big chunk in terms of percentage of the financial services industry, especially in countries like UAE, where or Saudi even, where there are plenty of expats that they do remittances, and they transfer money back to their family and to their homes. Digitalization of remittances is very important regarding one particular aspect. If you were to send money very regularly, right, on a monthly basis, weekly basis, whatever it can be, it is very important that the fees are at a minimum, right? So you would like to keep the fees at a minimum, use technology to help these people send money back home without any further hustle and struggles, right? And there are plenty of applications, digital online applications that you can do remittances and send money home. And we will talk a little bit when we arrive to the technology slide, the next slide, about how telecommunications technology, ICT, information and communications, has impacted the remittances and money transfer industry, where you don't have actually a very evolved economy. Like, for example, less developed countries, countries that are under development. So these countries have a particular issue because they are the countries most receiving money, for example, and it's very important to kind of make the channel of the remittance as smooth as possible. When we come to mortgage and real estate, the last section of this slide, this is actually also called PropTech in the last couple of years. Real estate technology stands into digitalizing mortgages, into making rental, for example, there is a very interesting startup in UAE, into making automated rental payments, for example, or deposits, or whatever you can think of in terms of payment for real estate. But the real estate section, as real estate being an alternative investment, has other plenty of applications. It can somehow fit with every kind of technology. What I can think of also in the UAE market, it's one startup who is doing something interesting in real estate, which is crowdfunding. We talked about very briefly about the crowdfunding being a very successful business model. It can also be used in real estate. Now imagine today, real estate is owned by one owner, right? So you buy a house, and if it is for you, it makes sense that, okay, you buy it for your family, and it makes sense that you are the only owner. But if you are investing in real estate, if you are an investor, then it might make sense that you cooperate with other investors. So this is what Smart Crowd actually is doing. In investing in real estate, they make possible that you can invest as little as $500 or $1,000 or whatever you can, and you get a monthly return from the rental and from the commercial activity of that building, of that real estate, etc., etc. So there are plenty of applications in the real estate that we go through in our FinTech Navigator course, and we'll see plenty of them for applied in different technologies and different concepts. Now let's move on. Let me see the chat just 1 second. Okay. Okay, Virena, I saw your question. We will reply in the end. We'll take all the questions. I'll go through them and we'll make a very nice discussion, let's say. FinTech is powered by many technologies, let's say. So we'll go through a couple of them, let's see. Now, we spoke about artificial intelligence, blockchain and crypto, data analytics, and IoT is very important. But in this slide, what I want you to kind of the takeaway of this slide, I want it to be the part of telecommunications and internet access. Now, we're living in UAE, and maybe you are living somewhere else, and everything is powered by mobile phones, apps, and advanced technology, what we call. But let me ask you this: how would someone in an developed country, let's say in Africa or somewhere where people don't even have bank accounts, interact with fintech? So how can these people, there are, by the way, I don't know if you know, but there are plenty of people who are unbanked, right? There are something like 1.7 billion of people in total worldwide that are unbanked. They don't have a bank account. Many of them don't have an identity. What do we do with these people? And the question automatically comes, okay, we are the privileged ones. We have internet access, we have mobile phones, we have smartphones, not just mobile phones. It's important to notice. We have applications, and we can interact with this economy. We can interact with fintech. We can be part of the fintech economy, let's say. But how do these people do? So the takeaway of this slide should be that fintech is not necessarily only powered by the most powerful technologies that exist today, be it blockchain, crypto, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and complicated stuff. It can be something as simple as telecommunications. So it can be something as simple as what happened in Kenya, for example. If you just research a little bit, this is one of the case studies involved also in our course. Fintech can be powered from even the slightest of the technologies, sending money through your mobile phone. Not a smartphone, mobile phone. So what happened in Kenya, I don't know if you have any knowledge about it, but it is very interesting topic to research about. People were having difficulties with remittances, with sending money through each other. So Safaricom, this very successful in the area telecom provider, like we have Du Etisalat in UAE, etc., provided this service where people could send money through their mobile phone. So you didn't need a bank account, you didn't need any KYC or any digital ID, let's say, or something like that. You just got registered with the service, and you could send money to your loved ones from one country to another, and of course in the African regions. But today, the telecommunications technology that powers fintech has gone even beyond. And today we have websites like, for example, worldremit.com, where you can send as little money as $5, $10, $20, little amounts that you might think they are little, but for the remittance community in underdeveloped countries, $20 is a lot. $20 is they go by with $1 per day, so it's 20 days of a month. So finding a solution as good as this, it has been very successful, especially in Africa, and in the it has helped the development of African countries, and what Ruela actually mentioned in the chat, in the financial inclusion of these people, because these people were completely excluded from banks. These are countries with a very high rate of risk, right? No one would open a bank account to someone who doesn't have a salary, who doesn't have a credit history, etc., etc. The financial industry is very highly regulated as such in terms of banking, that it kind of excludes automatically some people and some level of workers and everything else. So it's very important to take away that fintech was really, really important in this case in kind of including these people into the financial world. They had a role, and it was really good that this particular case study in Kenya went really well, and almost 90% or even slightly more of Kenyans have an account, and they transfer money through their mobile phones without even having internet access, because internet penetration worldwide is something like 59%, if I'm not mistaken, and smartphone penetration, so having a simple phone where you can download an application, which makes it a smartphone basically, it's only 41%. So what does the other 60% of do? What does the other 40% in terms of not having internet access do, right? So Fintech is really, really important also into developing the financial inclusion of those communities that do not have access to financial services. But in more developed countries, let's say, other technologies have taken over, and we spoke about data analytics, a very important one, being able to perform diagnostic analytics, knowing what's happening, why it has happened, descriptive analytics, why what is happening actually, so finding trends and correlations in between data. Today we have applications that can analyze your data very fast, and data analytics goes very close, let's say, with artificial intelligence into offering also AI as a service. We talk a lot about this in our artificial intelligence course. So these are two powerful technologies that regard mostly data and the analyzing of data. Blockchain and crypto, from the other side, which is also a very, very important technology, is more about tracking the data. So analyzing the data would be AI, data analytics, and blockchain connected very closely also with IoT, Internet of Things. It can be to track the data, to keep the data, to store the data. So each one of these technologies plays a particular, very important role in whatever you might think of in a fintech application. So it's very important. There are plenty of other technologies, by the way. I just put here the most commonly used ones. But if you think of cybersecurity, if you think of big data, if you think of any other mobility technologies, etc., they all play a crucial role. You can merge finance and one of these technologies very easily with each other to create a very powerful application or website or whatever it can be in order to offer a financial service digitally to someone, right? And this would kind of wrap up this slide. And just going quickly into the COVID-19 impact on fintech, I saw lately this this pretty cool meme, if you would call it, just circling online. And it says, "Who led the digital transformation of your company?" It put a smile on my face because it has some kind, it's a joke, obviously, but it has somehow something true, right, inside it. So it's not people who made the digital transformation of the company a reality, especially in this tough period, but the meme says that it was COVID-19, right? Why do I think that? Why does it put a smile on my face? It's very it has some true in it, right? Companies could have digitally transformed a long while back, but when a force majeure like COVID-19 somehow makes you to move fast forward, it's very interesting to see the developments. This is a very interesting let's say, period to live in. So remember this period, because after a few years, when COVID-19 and coronavirus are gone, so the virus is gone and we go back to normality and everything, hopefully, you will have to go back and analyze what happened at this period. And it's good that everyone takes notes of what's happening. And the one of the best, let's say, push for digital transformation are these events, force majeure events that you cannot somehow stop. And I don't know if you have tried lately to go in a shop or to a merchant or to buy something really small. They are very doubtful in taking cash. Now, the psychology of people is that cash transfers money, right? So this virus actually pushed people to use more Apple Pay, to use their NFC, near field communication card technology, so with their cards. So in order to not have direct impact or contact with whom they are interacting, they were pushed from this event to use more fintech solutions, right? So it was a very important role of what's happening now, and I'll mention it briefly also into the next slide on what's happening into fast forwarding to a cashless society. And In the next slide, we'll just briefly mention a couple of examples into how governments are actually looking forward to pass into a cashless society, to build a digital currency, to build something that is digital and doesn't transmit diseases such as the virus, etc. Now, I'm not saying that the virus was good, don't misunderstand me, but events like this somehow make us think that we need something to push for adoption, right? We need something to go forward. We need a killer app. We need in fintech applications that make a difference. Paying without cash, transmitting devices, or with paper cash, which is dangerous at this times, at this particular period, is very dangerous. It pushed people to pay in other ways. So we just found another way out of it. Okay, so into kind of coming to a conclusion on whatever we spoke about. Why do we need to know about fintech? We've been talking for 50 minutes already, and why do we really know? Why do we really need to know about fintech? Why is fintech so special? If you ask yourself that question, I'm pretty sure that you will find plenty of reasons after what we spoke and after you actually analyze all of your interactions with the fintech economy. But I have just these are just some of the reasons why I personally think everyone should get involved with fintech and should know about fintech as an economy. We are living a technology-powered life. So we spoke a lot about the way we pay, the way we handle our bills, the way we shop online, e-commerce, the payment gateways, etc. We are living a technology-powered life. So fintech has actually changed the way we are interacting with the financial world. And if you want to be part of that world, you kind of need to understand it in the end. You need to understand where do things actually stand? What is fintech? What is not fintech? You need to distinguish how can fintech help you get the most out of your career, out of your life, the most usage in terms of daily interactions, etc., etc. Now, consumer adoption of fintech is very high. In case you are an entrepreneur and you want to go for a new startup and you need to do something new, let's say, fintech being connected very closely with mobile applications, people have become very comfortable into using them because we already use applications for everything else. So somehow the consumer adoption rates are very high. And in case you are an entrepreneur and you are planning to go into a fintech, to have a product that has a fintech orientation, it would be good to know that people will absorb it, right? There's a high consumer adoption rate. Fintech is changing the economies and industries globally. How? I spoke very briefly about the cashless society, and I don't know if you have all heard, but China just recently, they launched their digital currency to be tested. So they've been working on this for a while, and they are planning very soon to pass into a cashless society. And in our Fintech Navigator course, we take a full workshop actually to discuss about cashless societies, to discuss about how fintech and blockchain and cryptocurrencies and how how governments have actually built, let's say, centralized currencies, digital currencies that people will use in the near future. Because in my opinion, at least, and I don't know if Junesh, can you hear me? I see in the chat that you wrote you can't hear me. Can everyone else hear me at least? Oh, okay, great. Junesh, it's only your problem maybe. Try troubleshooting a little bit. Okay, great. So into speaking about a cashless, contactless society, we have very interesting case studies in the course that we analyze and we discuss very closely into how would a central bank digital currency look like. There are many governments, by the way, testing and piloting this. China is just one of them who launched it very recently, their central bank digital currency. There's Tunisia with e-dinar. There's plenty of other governments who are trying to go into a cashless society for all the good reasons that we saw during this period. So now they have had the push of why do they need a cashless society? Why do they need people to adopt this kind of mentality? Because one of the things that is harder to change when everything happens, not only in the finance world, is the people's mindset, right? We as humans are somehow made in a way that it's a bit different. It's a bit difficult, let's say, for us to change our mind and to change our mindset into something new. So it will take a couple of years until everyone is aligned and everyone has interacted at least once with the fintech world. But I believe that is very near, and I believe that this is actually the future. So the fintech industry has an enormous potential, and investments in the industry has gone very high. So again, for those entrepreneurs that are looking forward to launch a product that could help people interact better with financial world, the fintech industry in the last couple of years has had some of the biggest investments done in the industry. And another reason that I thought about this, particularly because fintech and blockchain are very closely related, and blockchain is part of the fintech world. I don't know if you saw, but LinkedIn in January 2020 launched its most required skill set in the market. If you are someone looking for a job, or even in your current job, you have to know that blockchain and knowing how blockchain works and having knowledge about blockchain and everything else regarding the technology is one of the most required skills for 2020. So just go back and research this online. LinkedIn published it in January or February, if I'm not mistaken. So how important this is, calculating all of the jobs published in LinkedIn and published everywhere. They have made this analysis and come up to a conclusion that everyone needs to know about the technology because everyone is searching for people with that kind of knowledge. So it's a very good skill set to have on your pocket, especially in times where this is particularly the skill set required from the market. And of course, I mentioned here what Rowena mentioned. Fintech can potentially solve the issue of financial inclusion in less developed countries. Now, less developed countries have a lot of issues, as I mentioned. There's lack of infrastructure, there's a lack of internet penetration. There are plenty of reasons and why these countries are not developing as fast as the other countries. But fintech and the way it operates, doesn't matter which technology is it. Is it blockchain? Is it artificial intelligence? Or is it something else? Fintech can potentially help include this 1.7 billion people into the financial world. And that would be one of the biggest achievements for humanity as an entire, for humanity as all. So these are just some of the reasons why I put you should know about fintech, you should get interested about fintech, you should go through proper education. So you position yourself very good in the market, be it an entrepreneur, be it someone looking for a new job, or someone being employed in their current job. It doesn't matter what you are doing. Blockchain is actually impacting all industries worldwide. So it's not only about knowing about fintech, about blockchain in terms of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Blockchain will save many other industries from simple issues that previously without blockchain could not have been possible. So what I'm trying to say, the key takeaway of the slide is that fintech and blockchain, which is included into fintech in the fintech world, are going to impact every industry that you can think of. So the knowledge regarding fintech should be there for everyone. Everyone should properly research and educate themselves regarding this important concept. Okay, just taking a couple of minutes on what we are offering in the Fintech Navigator course. So there are couple of things that I want you to take away from this webinar on the Fintech wonders. This course is offered from Pearson in cooperation with the IFC Academy, and we're very glad to cooperate with such a distinguished authority in offering one of the best courses out there. Now you have to understand something about how we actually operate in delivering the course. We use something called blended learning, and it's a very good method nowadays into you having the time to properly study yourself the concepts and being assisted and helped by a facilitator trainer. And in this case, that's me, offering workshops every couple of weeks in order for you to deep dive into case studies and have that hands-on experience, that touch and feel of what FinTech is really about. So, and this is something that I personally really take I take it personally because I want to deliver value in what you are going to take out of this course. And we do what I like to call, we really go into the hands-on activities, and we like to kind of get our hands dirty. So you will not get out of this course only with theoretical knowledge, only knowing what FinTech is and kind of getting to understand, but you will actually get out of this experience with us with a hands-on activity. So in our workshops, we take it very seriously for you to get the experience out of the FinTech world. This is why we interact with blockchain in real time. We open crypto wallets and make you kind of interact with cryptocurrencies for you to kind of have the experience and get out of the course with something that you have done yourself, right? The touch and feel, not only the theory out of it. We go and deep dive into the workshops in very interesting topics that I think anyone should know. We deep dive into the cashless society, how central bank cryptocurrencies would look like. We deep dive into a decentralized finance. So the concept has emerged lately into DeFi, so decentralized finance. How would finance look like if it's decentralized? If we don't have a lot of middlemen in the middle and these applications, how would you interact, peer-to-peer interaction? We are going to have something like 5 or 6 workshops and interactions online, and we will deep dive in each one of them into the case studies. We will have interesting discussions on what you think should be done in particular cases, and we will also discuss the entrepreneurial journey of actually building a FinTech business plan from A to Z. So with the course that we are offering, there is a very interesting FinTech project involved where you would have to partner up with a group of students and work into a FinTech idea. Of course, with my assistance, with the assistance of DFC Academy and Pearson. So you would have to build a business plan from A to Z on a FinTech product. And in the past, I have to say, we have had very, very interesting projects, and one of them even got funded, let's say, but it's when you are cooperating with other people in a group and you are making everything possible yourself that you understand the creativity that everyone has in their mind. So everyone can be an entrepreneur, everyone can give that extra value, everyone can think of a product that can make people's lives easier. So we are going through with that FinTech project, and during the entire 6 workshops that we are having, on the last one, you will have a beautiful presentation in front of a jury, let's say, where you will have to work with your peers, you will have to explain how you came up with the idea, and you will have to present to the jury your FinTech concept, and how do you think this concept, well, if it goes out there in the world, would have its applications, and how would it be applied or even sold to any other company. So it's going to be really interesting because we really care about giving that that particular hands-on experience, not only the theory of just doing a course and knowing the theoretical part of it, but actually deep diving and having a real experience out of it. This was all from my side, and the last slide actually is the Kahoot activity. If you just take a picture of this slide, it will be very good to take a picture with your phone. This is the challenge pin 05423189. This is a very small challenge of 10 questions, if I'm not mistaken, that you can take self-paced at home after this webinar, tomorrow, whenever, in the weekend, whenever you have 5 minutes. And it's valid until 31st of May. So you can test the knowledge that you got out of this webinar through a little mini quiz, let's say, into testing yourself. What did you get out of this webinar? It's optional, but it's really nice. It's a really nice quiz, and you can see for yourself by entering the pin in the application. I will take a look at the questions. This was actually all that we had to deliver today. So in the chat, I'll just review very quickly. Okay. Viren, is fintech not a technical oriented? Oh, Rowena, sure. Just 1 second. Can you see the slide? Great. Okay, awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Great. So Viren, is fintech not a technical oriented development? How can professional from non-IT or non-engineering environment play a role in fintech? Actually, Viren, this is a very good question, by the way. Fintech can be both. Now, both kind of backgrounds, even if you are a fintech professional, a finance professional, a financial professional, in any of the industries that I mentioned, you need to know how, it doesn't matter where you work in a bank, you work in insurance, you work somewhere else, you need to know what's the technology part of it. So for example, what you need to know, you don't need to do the coding side of it, you don't need to do the programming part of it. This is the IT and the data scientists that do the data analytics and big data. So this is another role, a job description, but you should really know how your industry matches with one of the technologies. So how can you know as a banking professional that you can make an application online to make billings and payments easier if you don't know that exists something such as the mobile app and the artificial intelligence algorithm that can somehow aggregate all the bills and all the things. So what we do is that we give you the knowledge to know in your background, are you in insurance, are you in banking, are you in real estate, whatever the industry that we saw, to get that little extra on how you can merge your industry with the technology. So this is not necessarily for tech people, this is not necessarily for coding and programmers. The course actually is very managerial oriented. So everyone can take it. Either you are a manager or you are an IT or engineer, and you need to know the other part. So the ITs and engineers, they know the technical side, but you can somehow learn about how it is merging with the financial area. So both sides, technical and non-technical, have to take the best out of the course because it's not necessarily oriented only for one. Okay, Janesh has, welcome. Janesh has another question. Would we learn any technical areas like core blockchain technicals or programming areas or any business managerial areas? Janesh, the blockchain programming and technicals, it depends what you mean by technicals. Now, the programming side is not included in this course, but I do like to get my hands a little bit dirty with all the professionals that join the course. We will go into looking into blockchain transactions. We have made a small plan of of interactions. So you will know how a blockchain looks like. First of all, you will know how blocks get produced and how the data in real time. So we'll go to etherscan.io for Ethereum or for blockchain.com for the block explorer of Bitcoin blockchain. We will do transactions. We will open crypto wallets, for example. We will send you some of the cryptocurrencies, and you will do a transaction, and you will see the technicals behind that transactions in real time on the blockchain. So we will do this type of technical operations, and we will delve a little bit into the hashing and how does blockchain work. But this is purely on a high level. It's not necessarily programming and coding. It's just information, technical information delivered in a very simple way for you all to understand. Does that reply your question, Junaid? Junesh, sorry. Okay, great.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Tapash, how does Bitcoin affect on fintech industry? Very good question. So Bitcoin is actually what the fintech. One of the sections of the fintech, as we spoke in one of the slides, was blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Now, Bitcoin as such was the first cryptocurrency, and this is why it's widely known, and this is why it has had a major impact, mainly on how people perform transactions. So precisely when we go to one of the workshops and we will have to do actually transactions with Bitcoin, you will see how the transaction happens peer-to-peer. So I will send you something, and or you would buy something in a decentralized application or something like that. We will do an interaction. We will do an interaction with cryptocurrencies, and we will see how Bitcoin, for example, is actually the transaction that you will do is actually reflected on the blockchain. If we were to kind of in parentheses put an impact of Bitcoin into fintech, I would say that, and this is my personal opinion, Bitcoin somehow brought into the picture the removal of middlemen from the industry. The financial industry has always worked with middlemen, right? Banking transactions, insurance transactions, whatever you can think of. The financial industry as such has always worked with middlemen. So Bitcoin brought into the spectrum, into the perspective, the possibility of why not removing this middleman? Why not doing things ourselves? Now, it's not as easy as it sounds, and we will see what are the challenges, what are the obstacles. We will actually classify Bitcoin in one of our workshops. We'll have a very interesting discussion into how do you classify Bitcoin? Is it money? Is it store of value like gold, for example? Is it a medium of exchange? Is its value fluctuating? How does it impact on the trading markets, etc.? So we'll have very interesting discussions into kind of figuring out ourselves on what the impact would be, because as of today, anyone that you ask, you go on forums, you go on chats and everything, everyone has its own opinion, right? It's not something cut with a knife that, okay, Bitcoin has impacted in this way. It's true that when Bitcoin came into the picture, there was also the perspective of peer-to-peer interactions, direct interactions with participants. So somehow we would have to discuss that, because you might have your opinion, I might have my opinion, but someone else might think of it as a store of value or money or any other form of medium of exchange or whatever we think it might be. So in order to answer to your question, there is an impact, and this is what it brought into perspective into the fintech industry. But there is not a cut with a knife answer, let's say, that this were the impacts of it overall, because it's ongoing. So it's still impacting the fintech industry. Okay, Rowena, is there a certification? Okay, Elizabeth replied to you. Great. The course, by the way, it's offered from EPFL. It's a university in Lausanne, Switzerland. And it's an exclusive course offered for the IFC Academy and Pearson. So you will not find it out there. Okay, great. Viren, I downloaded the Kahoot app. It does not ask for any challenge pin. You have to enter it here. I'll show you in the camera. You have to go here. I don't know if you can see. You have to go enter pin, and then you enter the pin. You're welcome, Tapash. My pleasure. So you just enter the four little squares, enter pin, and it will take you to the page where you can enter the pin of this Kahoot challenge. And you can do it self-paced, of course. Okay, great. I think there are no more questions. Okay, great. I think there are no more questions. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or wherever you find me in social media. I'm more than happy to reply anyone's question regarding the webinar of today. And please, Elizabeth is writing on the chat. If Elizabeth, if you have any other thing to add on top of what we spoke. Thank you, Viren. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Loredana. It was a fantastic webinar as usual. So that's nothing new that happened there. As always, it's a great pleasure to listen to you. You're very engaging and always very, very insightful things. So that's exactly the kind of experience that's awaiting you all joining any of our courses, especially the ones with Loredana, of course. And yeah, no, I think it was a great webinar. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time out of your day and joining us. And hopefully we'll see you all in, amidst all of our learners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.
Thank
and a
you.
good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.